the Winston Cup Championship. It's NASCAR's highest honor. In this edition, we'll visit 3 champions that still dominate racing today. First, Bill Elliott, whose popularity is second to none, shows us a very personal side in this exclusive interview. Then Darrell Waltrip, who continues to be a force in Winston Cup racing. I had a chance to visit he and his wife Stevie for a very intimate look at their life on and off the track. And 5-time Winston Cup champion Dale Earnhardt shares with us his experiences growing up in a racing family, his philosophy on life, and his successes on the track. Now, these are some great champions, so come on, let's get to it.
Bill Elliott does everything he does with a lot of thought, a lot of finesse, and 100% professional.
I really like him a bunch. He's a good guy. He's fun to race with, but he's a lot of fun to be around.
Of all the racing that we've done together, and we've run together many times, I know that he respects me and I respect him. And I know that he will do everything that he can to beat me, but by the same token, he will not do anything crazy, unethical. In other words, I can depend on him.
Just a Georgia boy, country boy, and country boy made good.
Country boy made good is an understatement. Bill Elliott has everyone's respect, and rightfully so.
Growing up in Dawsonville, were you a fan of racing? I mean, is it something you enjoyed and followed as a kid?
I was a fan of short track racing.
But not necessarily.
NASCAR was a foreign entity to me. I followed dirt racing around home left and right. I mean, my father ran a little parts truck that went to the races, and we went Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday evening, and Sunday night every weekend. And I mean, I was a fan of dirt racing or racing in general. And then I never really knew much about NASCAR until I started running it some. So then I, learned then, more of the personalities behind the names. You always heard of Yarborough and Petty and Pearson, and some of those guys at that particular time when I was growing up as a kid, but never, to me that was like somewhere overseas, it didn't happen here.
So then how did you make that, so you go all the Dixie Speedway and all that, then how did you guys just say, all right, well, let's go try NASCAR? Or?
Well, my father, Daddy always wanted for us to run that because he ran it, but he didn't drive, but he always had cars. And he went, while they had cars that went to Daytona in the early 60s and ran the sportsman races. He carried 2 cars down there and stuff. But then they just took old stock cars and welded some roll bars in them, threw a motor in them, and went and raced them. And today it's just gotten so sophisticated, it's changed so much. And he always wanted me to drive this stuff, and it was a lot on him that led me where I'm at today.
Junior made the comment that unless you're a family-oriented person, you got the Pettys, the Jarretts, Allisons, he said you better have real deep pockets. And in your case, your family, from what I've read, was stable, but certainly not, well endowed financially.
My father didn't have very deep pockets at all, and you could not imagine on what we raced on when we first started racing. It'd blow your mind. I think the car that he bought that I first drove, he only paid like $4,000 or $5,000 for it. We scrimped and saved, and we bought tires. I remember buying a lot of tires from Benny Parsons and giving like $10 a piece for them, almost new tires, and racing them and stuff like that. We'd go to motels and we'd sleep 10 people in a room. It was unbelievable what we did. We'd sleep out in the infield. We'd do what we had to do. When you look back on that and you try to do that today, and with the amount of competition you got today, you couldn't accomplish the same thing as what we accomplished that day. But it at least helped get me laps on the racetrack. They weren't competitive laps, but at least was getting me seat time. And then I was able to build around that. And then whenever we met up with Harry Melling, it was the biggest key in my life that helped turn my career into going either one way or the other.
Bill, you mentioned Harry Melling, that being the big turning point in your career and your life to an extent. there's a lot of good drivers who never get that break, who come make a few races, then you never hear from them again. Had you faced that reality if you had never met a Harry Melling?
Yes, and I totally understand that, and I tell a lot of people a lot of times that I'm a very fortunate person to be where I'm at, to be able to have made the steps, and open that door and yet go through that door into the next step of my career. We were able, okay, let's say the people that do meet the Harry Mellings of the world, that walk in that first door but not able to make it to the next door. That's where we were able to make it. And then we got through that door, we were able to make it to the next door. So we first didn't have a lot to do with, then when we did have something to do with, we were able to accomplish something with it. And we showed people we could accomplish something with it. And I think that's what made us. That's what brought us to where we're at.
Bill, there's no question, you have some of the most devoted fans in the entire sport. Were you concerned at all when you left the family-oriented business to join Junior Johnson of what they might think?
Well, I just hope they understood because, there was not any one reason I came. It was a number of reasons, But the main reason to me was, I had been there in a family situation for so many years, and I didn't want those relationships to deteriorate to the point that I had to leave. I wanted to try something different as a person, as me, and I think that's just a part of me growing up. And people have got to realize that, which, Ernie's still doing great as far as where he's at. Dan's still got a good thing going with what he's doing. So everybody's still being taken care of. I wish Harry Melling had some more going on than what he's got going on at a particular point. But I think if they keep going, there's a lot of good guys there at Dawsonville that I truly miss, that are good people. And I think everything will work out for the best. Maybe someday we'll get back together, maybe we won't, I don't know.
Bill, you've been a hands-on driver. I've seen you hundreds of times get out of the car after a practice run, take the helmet off, climb under the car, or open the hood. How has your role changed here with this team?
Well, here I've totally gotten away from working on the car. All I do now is deal with take care of Budweiser, Amoco, and Ford, and whatever other little sponsors that I got to do. And from that standpoint, it's changed that, I love working on a car, and I truly miss that. But because of, you got fan commitment that you got to take care of. There's so many things nowadays going on around the racetrack. Well, a lot of this stuff, media hype, that you can't function and deal with a race car and still take care of working on it, and take care of everything else around you and work on the race car. You just can't do it anymore, and that's what tore me apart at Melling, from the standpoint of I still wanted to work on the race car, but yet I couldn't work on the race car because of everything else pulling against me.
Bill, one of the most amazing things I've seen in this sport is several years ago you started having an open house down in Dawsonville, and there were people there from Vermont, from all over the place that came just to stand in line to get your autograph.
Yeah, we had people from California, Washington State, everywhere come down for that deal, and it blew me away. But that's how dedicated these race fans are, and you got to take your hat off to a lot of the folks. The ones who follow Winston Cup racing are really dedicated people.
Bill, I remember I came to Dawsonville in May of '85 when you were right in the middle of that $1 million hype, and I actually felt sorry for you because it was a real circus.
Well, let me try to put that in perspective of what we went through in '85. There was 12 of us total working at that shop in 1985. That was everybody. And I worked a lot of nights, all night long, alongside with the rest of the guys. I didn't understand media. I didn't care about media, because at that point in time, it got in the way of working on my race car, and that's what I cared about, was how well that race car runs. Because I knew if that race car ran well on Sunday, that the coverage that we need would be there. And in turns it was. But the point I'm trying to get at is we didn't have the high-buck guys to take care of the media, or we didn't have people to take care of media. We didn't have the necessary things to help us first take care of the business and then take care of the sponsor and all other entities that we learned from that point on to start to deal with. And then as time went on, learn how to deal with them and make it all work, you know, in a unison. And that's what people don't understand. I got a bad name from I got a bad rap a lot of times in 1985 for a lot of the stuff I did and throughout the years. But like I said, I was trying to accomplish a goal. I wanted to go out and win races, and every time something came in and interrupted me, that took away from my goal of what I was trying to do. And to me, it was an interruption.
Bill, I know that you've developed a passion for flying and you have your own plane or planes, but other than that, how would you spend time off on the rare times that you have it?
In this business, you know, when you first get into it, you just, all these deals come at you and you say, well, I got to do this and I got to do that and I want to do this and I want to be here. But after a period of time, you look at yourself in the mirror and you ask, why are you beating your head against the wall so hard to accomplish everything you've got to do? You know, it's a point of, you know, now I'm trying to get some personal time. You know, take care of my daughter, take care of the things that I need to do, and have a little personal time for myself. And that has helped me more than anything. And then when I go back to a racetrack, I'm more relaxed, I'm more focused on what I need to do, and I can deal with all the circumstances a lot better instead of just going and going and going and going and thinking I got to get it all today and there won't be a tomorrow. You know, I get around a racetrack and I try to get so focused on what I'm doing, I block a lot of other things out. And I mean, I can walk by somebody that I know just like I know my own family, and I'm in my own world and I don't pay any attention to what's going on around me. It's not that I'm pissed off at the world, it's not that I'm mad at the world, it's just the way I am. You know, some people can go through life and they can deal with every circumstance and be happy as a lark. You know, and some people are just kind of tunnel vision, and that's pretty much me. When I'm on one thing, I'm on that one thing until I get it done. I don't see anything around me. And that's the way a lot I am around a racetrack. And if I can get away from a racetrack, you know, go to a mall or go to somewhere like where you sign autographs, then you can be yourself. Then, like sitting here, you know, we're away from a racetrack. We've not got any other pressures. I ain't got to worry about going out and qualifying. I ain't got to worry about how good this car runs or how bad it runs, or if Davey's here in points or so-and-so's there in points or anything. I ain't got to, that ain't even here today.
Bill, I've also heard you say that the most relaxed time amidst all the pressure is when you're in the race car.
It really is. You know, you go through all the stuff you got to go through, like the morning of the race, and you know how hectic that is. And the worst races I hate are our most hyped races, like Daytona in February,
Charlotte,
the World 600 at Charlotte. You know, and if you're running for something special, like say for example the Winston Million or running for the championship, then that kind of carries over to each and every race. But man, you don't know how bad you want to get in that in that car and put that window net up just to get away from everything that's outside of that and get on to what you're trying to do or what you want to do, and that's drive that race.